And what can be better than that, right? And this is a tool that Ed Smith used in Theophostic. He started it, and it's so easy. It's just presenting Jesus and asking what the lie is and what the truth is. And we use it in healing ministry. And when someone, in healing ministry of a memory, and when somebody comes in and they have a memory and they can't forget it, or maybe something that just comes up when it's during a session and they think of something, this is the time. And so what we ask them, I mean, it's so simple. First of all, I want to tell you, though, that it's during the memories that the enemy implants lies and wounds. And then you know what he does? He just keeps on repeating. And every time that memory comes up or something else like that, that lie just keeps on going. And pretty soon you're 50 years old or something, and that's what you believe. So anyway, it's all about what's the truth, or what's the lie, and what's the truth. When we're doing this, when we're asking somebody, about a memory, we don't have to hear the whole story. You don't have to hear all the details. All you have to do is, if they want to tell the story, that's okay, because they need to. But you don't have to hear everything. So, how to do this? When somebody's there and you just say, and they present a memory to you, you just say, Lord, you just ask them to ask the Lord where he was. And you wait a bit. And most people will they'll either sense something, they'll have a story, they'll see another memory, they'll have something. They'll hear something, see something. And then you can, but if they don't, you ask them, is there someone you have to forgive? Especially like a family member that didn't protect you. And then you also may have to renounce the lie that YESHUA wasn't there during this memory. So, but most people don't have any problem with it. It comes right away, like, I don't know, God just shows up and shows them something. In fact, I'll tell you quick, there's a man named Carl Lehman. He's a psychiatrist, and he works with people doing this healing memories. And he had an atheist come in. And of course, he told him he's an atheist, don't use any of this Jesus stuff on me. And so he said, well, then you don't have to worry, no problem, right? No problem, you don't believe in him. So ask him anyway. So he did. Obviously he goes, oh my gosh, she's here. So the Lord is even willing to show up when there's an atheist sitting next to you. So this is, it works. It's good, actually. I like that story. What else do I have to tell you? I want to tell you a story about myself. I was taking Theophostic years ago, and I don't know, it's in one of the second classes or something with a group of people. And the instructor said, ask the Lord for a memory that he wants to heal. Immediately, I had this memory that I didn't know I had. And I was, 5, 6 years old, school playground, with a bunch of kids that I really didn't know well. They didn't know each other well. It was New Year's, school was just starting. And I was there, and all of a sudden, here's this girl that knew everything. She's in my class, she's my age, and she just knows what to do. And she's telling everybody else what to do, and she tells you, no kidding, she tells you how to come in, how to go out, who gets the line of first, who gets to be at the end, who we could play with. And I thought, this girl is amazing. How does she know how to do all this stuff? I mean, she's my age. We're like in first grade or something. And then, I compared myself to her. And I thought, oh man, I don't know how to do anything like this. And she's so good at all this stuff. I mean, she was like General Patton telling you, giving you orders. But I was still amazed. I thought this was really, wow. Anyway, and all of a sudden I felt the Lord's presence right next to me. And he said, do you want to know what I think? Yes, Lord. And he said, she was a bully. She was walking under authority that wasn't hers. And she was pushing everybody around. Pushy girl. I never thought of it that way. I thought that she was so amazing. So what was the lie there? The lie was she was walking under, that was not her authority to push everybody else around. The lie was that she thought it was. And meanwhile, I was feeling so insignificant, so small, and I think the other kids were too, just following her. And so what was the truth? That she was a bully, and that we were doing the other kids were doing the right thing. So there's always a lie, and there's always the truth in something like that. And here's the really neat thing, that the Lord cared enough to come. That's just a little thing. Some people come in with unbelievable, traumatic stories. And that's a little. But the Lord cared enough to come back, bring that memory back, heal it. I didn't even know it needed healing. He came back to set things straight. And I love that. So, anyway, and does anybody have any questions about that little part? Good, because I'm going to show a video here out of Redding, California.
I would just say that the lie was that I am insignificant, and the truth was she's a bully and I am significant.
Ooh.
And that's what she figured out.
I did. I forgot to say that.
That's the voice in my heart, so I needed to throw that in there.
See, that's why we love Marie. She saves us.
Well,
not really. I didn't mean it. You know what I meant.
We work as a team.
We work as a team.
I like that though. And there's a question there.
Oh,
The question, is it okay to?
Just a little comment. I was just doing some studying on the developmental ages from 6 to puberty, and you would have been in first grade. And one of the chief things that needs to be shored up is a sense of confidence, which is interesting. And so many of us during that season had our sense of confidence challenged or threatened or crushed, and so I think that's beautiful that the Lord took you back there to that developmental milestone and shored up that confidence. That relates to me as well. So.
Let's see if I can repeat that. There was a comment that our confidence is built during those ages between 6 and puberty, and how the Lord wanted to come back and shore that up. Competence. Yeah. So, good. Thank you for that. That's good. And that is true. I agree.
We were in another city. We were praying for this pastor. And, one of the things we tell people in this seminar is, the one thing you don't want me to know, you might as well start with. Because then we don't have to pick around and find it, because we're going to get there. You might as well just start there. So this pastor walks in, he goes, okay, I heard what you said. The one thing I don't want you to know, the very thing I should start with, so here we go. He said, I have been a pastor 20-some years, and I've been living in cycles of pornography all those years. And I've decided that God's either real or he's not, and I'm done. So basically, basically the thought is, you either get me healed, so I walk out of here free, or I'm done pastoring because it's a sham, it's a lie. No pressure. No pressure at all. And this was not the one that resigned, by the way. That was the other guy. That was kind of a joke, but it's true. He's not the one that resigned. We started going, and I just said, okay, Lord. I said, I really felt like it was locked somewhere down inside. And where are we going to go with this? We just start. My favorite prayer, Holy Spirit, come. My second favorite prayer, Lord, help. Because I'm thinking pressure. Okay, it's not on me, that's on you, Jesus. I've got a clue how to help this guy. I know we're going to go to the doors, the sexual sin. So I start out with, okay, sexual sin door. Now, how many of you realize that sexual sin is seldom ever just sexual sin? Okay, that's what she was telling you earlier. There's a reason why we choose sin. And there's a reason why we're in that door. And so I said, okay, and I'm thinking in my brain all the places where, sexual sin comes in and why we're in pornography, but it's not where we're going to go. And I said, okay, we're in the door. Lord, where did this come in, basically? It's like he doesn't know. He's been working on this all these years, and he can't get free. And the torment of the shame of it. And he says, I see a picture. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, here we go. And he said, pictures that I'm seeing in memory, not a picture. I'm seeing a memory. Okay. Says, I'm 12 years old, and I'm carrying 50-pound sacks of feed. And he says, and he was a normal, like, kind of smaller guy, like me, a little bit taller than me guy. And I'm thinking, and he was 12. So I'm thinking, how did he carry that when he was 12? I mean, he could carry it as an adult, but 12, I'm not sure how he could have done that. And I said, well, what does that have to do with the sexual sin? We're in this door. And he says, I don't know. So my next prayer, God, I have him repeat after me, God, what in the heck does that have to do with sexual sin? So I prayed it. And he laughs. And he said, I know what it is. So the Lord's revealing to him. His dad passed away when he was 12, and he became the man of the house. Okay? And during that time, he came across pornography. But what happened is we're in the memory of him being 12, carrying the feed. And the Lord's there. He's like, wants us to, it's like, this is what he's showing us to go. So here's my tool. Jesus, show me where you were. And he starts to cry. And he says, oh my gosh, he's shouldering the packs of feed. And he's carrying it with me. So he's crying. And he's like, not wanting to leave that place. And I'm like, come on, just the facts, man. I mean, so fast. I mean, it's like, bam. And I have to slow myself down sometimes. He says, wait, you don't get it. And he's just crying really hard now. He says, you have no idea what that truth means to me. Okay, I didn't even ask why truth yet. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, I have always felt like I was alone. And all my life, I have wondered how I carried the sacks of feed. But today, I know that he had shouldered the weight from 12 back. And he's like, you're not just inserting a cookie cutter Jesus, or, one of those, cardboard box, here's Jesus in your picture. He said, that's how I carried it. He carried it with me. And so we had to sit there a while and let him process just the fact that he was there with him. Okay? And then he's like, that's what it is. You see, all of his life, whenever he would come across a situation that was bigger than him, he would use the pornography to feel like a man. And so his cycle was, I'm too little for the job, I'm too little for the job. He found pornography that era of his life. He would pick up the pornography, and it would do something in him that would make him stimulate the fact that I'm a man. And so the rest of his life, when people would come against him, and he's a pastor, he said, especially like with the board of elders, that they would say, why did you do that? You should have done this. Or his wife would say, why did you should have done this? It kicked him back to being 12 years old and having a job where he was too little to carry it out. And he said, but he knew now that Jesus carried it with him. And he sat back and went, it's going to be a fair fight. And see, that's the deal. When the demonic is on you, it's not a fair fight. See, now the spirit of perversion had to go. Why? Because the lie was revealed and the truth was brought forward. It is still my favorite one of all. And we've heard amazing, wonderful stuff. But the fact that here's someone that has been teaching this, has been living in this situation, has not been able to break free.
My mom asked me to share this story. When I met with Marie once for healing prayer. This was probably like 2014 or 15, like right when we first came to KL. And I think one of the, if I'm remembering correctly, one of the things that we were praying through was just kind of this idea that I felt sometimes when I was overwhelmed that I had to do it myself. And so we were asking the Lord about that. I'm like, I don't know why I think this. And up pops a memory of a car accident I was in with my dad and my older brother when I was in 4th grade. And I'm like, Marie, I just remembered this thing. This doesn't have anything to do with this. And she says, well, let's ask the Lord about it. I'm like, okay. So we asked the Lord about it, and she kind of started. So what had happened is, the story is, we were coming home from somewhere at night, and we lived in Colorado, and there was a road that was super windy along this river. And so we got in a car accident, and we had one of those Bronco 2s in the 80s that they don't make anymore because they're dangerous and they roll really easily. But we came around a corner and we hit a tree, and the Bronco rolled. And so we're up, we're upside down, like I'm hanging from my seatbelt, and I'm in the back seat, which is safer. But Marie, basically, we started praying about this, and she's like, well, this was probably kind of overwhelming for you. And I'm like, no, I'm good. It's no problem. And she's kind of like, because sometimes we don't remember it quite. It's kind of like we were overwhelmed by it, but we kind of put it away. Like there's parts of it I didn't remember when I went back through like what it was like when we got to the hospital, but we asked the Lord about it, and basically all these feelings came up for me because what happened was when you have to crawl out an open window, there's an order that you have to go out in. So my dad was closest to the window, so he crawled out. So I'm in the back waiting. And, it was the 80s, and so a lot of those television shows that my brother and I had watched, like the car crash, the car always blows up. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's like the music's going and the car blows up. And my older brother, he's 3 years older, and he's kind of waiting to crawl out, and he goes, it's going to blow. Oh. And I'm in 4th grade, and I'm like, well, for sure it's going to blow up, because that's all, that's what my brain. And so that was the part that was overwhelming for me. Like when we talk about something being traumatic, it's because it was overwhelming. And so I had to wait to crawl out, and it was just scary. And so this is where, we were praying through something else, but this memory comes up. And so I asked the Lord, and Marie's like, well, ask, YESHUA where he was. And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe he was there. I wasn't even a believer, but so I asked him. And this flood of emotion comes because what he showed me, see, it's coming up again. It was amazing. He basically showed me that he crawled out last, and that, and this is what's so amazing about healing is because, I didn't even know the Lord, but he can kind of go back to us with the memory and show us where he was, and I can bring it up right now and even feel his comfort and his kindness to me. And so, so what he showed me is that he was with me and that he waited for me to crawl out and I wasn't alone. And so just thinking about Sarah's teaching even, it's like this idea that when we feel alone in something really overwhelming, we do need healing, and we need to ask the Lord, where were you? And when he shows us, it brings so much comfort and healing. So that kind of goes with, my little story goes with that tool that we're learning today, and that's it.
Were there any questions about any of this? One thing I do want to say, I maybe said it before, but anybody can do this, and if you're home and you have a memory that keeps coming back, or one just comes up, you can ask the Lord, where were you during this memory? And I gotta tell you, if he shows up for atheists, he's gonna show up and he's gonna show you where he was. And like even Donna on that film will tell you, oftentimes he'll show you something that for her it wouldn't have been healing at all. Or for maybe us it won't be healing. But he knows what to show you. Just one little thing. He's amazing. So, oh, good. Berna.
Okay, so I want to go back to the video. And what I realized is what you just said, and that was that he brings to us what we need. And so he brought that particular memory to the pastor, and that's what the pastor needed until the pastor gets his revelation. But I'm still trying to grasp. I didn't get the full connection, and it wasn't for me to get. But I was just curious if you had any additional comment about that. And I'm not sure I'm making myself clear. But so the Lord was revealing to him that he was carrying, he was making his connection with a sin, the pornography. I was just trying to get a grasp, more of a grasp on that.
Well, I was going to say, and I don't know how to repeat your question, but the man in the film, when he saw YESHUA now he's only 12 years old, and he can't, he's a skinny little kid, he can't be carrying 50-pound bags of feed. And he always wondered all his life how he did that, right? But that was the time when pornography was introduced into his life, when he's like 12 years old. And he always thought he wasn't big enough, he couldn't do it, and he was all alone. And so anytime he'd get in a situation, like they mentioned, the board, he was a pastor, and the board would come up and ask, what you're doing next, and he felt insignificant and too small, and that's when that cycle would kick in again. Whatever it was in his brain when he saw that, when he got into pornography, that made him feel like a big man and he can do it, that would kick in again. Wow. And then he thought he could do it, and that's why he'd always return to the porn. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you want to add, Marie?
The pornography was a counterfeit. So he went to the counterfeit rather than going to the Lord. But he didn't know what he didn't know. And that's why
the Lord kept showing up anyway.
That's why the Lord brought that memory to him. This is where this came in. You felt helpless, you felt alone. And I just wanted to know you to know that I was there helping you.
Okay, that's good.
So that's,
thank you.
yeah, and we're actually going to be talking about beeps a little later. Beeps are, I'm not going to explain it now because I have time to do it later, but they're the counterfeits.
Yes.
Where we turn for comfort, but they're not lasting.
Okay.
They're not, yeah, and a lot of times they're sin.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Anybody has? I guess we're good to go.
Okay, just one thing I just want to mention is that when we're praying for someone, we don't usually ask for memories. We just, if a memory comes up, we deal with it, but we don't ask for memories. So, but memories come up all the time. So, what we wanted to do after the break, we're going to take a short break, and as soon as I'm done talking. And what we wanted to do, if there's anyone here who had a memory come up, like when Tracy shared or Mary Lee shared or from the video, that you wouldn't mind having us pray with you with the group so that you can see how it works in a one-on-one thing. And just let us know during the break if there's something, and we would love to. You'll kind of be a guinea pig a little bit, but we've done this before, so we will take care of you. We promise we will take care of you. And if it's something that's really deep and you don't want to share, we are available later. So you can keep it kind of a medium memory. It doesn't have to be but whatever comes up works.
So, if you don't ask for a memory, what do you do instead?
This is like what she did when she was talking with him and knew what the issue was. She asked, Lord, where did this first enter in? sometimes you ask, because there'll be an emotion, whether there's a memory or not, there'll be an emotion, or there will be a lack of emotion, which is another kind of clue, something's going on. And you can say, where's this coming from? Or we go if we can't, if nothing comes to our mind. And when the Lord's working in this, it happens quickly. And if you're still blank after that, then you ask another question, because you don't have to dig for this stuff. It's right there. When the Lord's ready to heal something, He's always ready. But when we're ready to have the Lord heal something, it's right there. So you can ask, is there a lie I've believed? Is there, you can ask what's connected with this. It's whatever the Lord shows you to ask too. So memories pop up all the time. So it's like you really don't have to ask for them because they're there. When you're ready for the Lord to heal it, it's right there. So anybody brave enough to do that can kind of approach one of us at the break and let us know. And if not, we'll just go on. Well, actually, if not, sometimes we let ourselves be the guinea pig. I've done that a number of times. I have a gift for that. Once I had my wedding ring was too tight, and the lady at the jeweler's tried to get it off and couldn't. So she said, well, you could go to the fire department and they'll do it for you and they won't charge you anything. So I walk up to the fire department, whenever I'm afraid, although I didn't know that technique then. So I walk up fear and trembling, and the guy opens the door and I show him what the problem is. He says, oh yeah, I've done a bunch of those. Joe hasn't done any. Joe, come on over. Oh, so that happens a lot to me. So I'm willing if you guys don't have anything there. So we'll have about a 15-minute break, and we'll come back and continue from there. So thank you.